Peace family, is one Tykeem reminding you, don't forget to breathe. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about the power of breathwork and why I feel like this is a major solution for majority of the problems that we experience today. Now, when you think about breathwork or you think about your breath, most people just think about oxygen, CO2. They don't really think about it as it being your life force, because breath equals spirit. When people say God is within you, very rarely do they talk about breath. Very rarely do they talk about how to activate the God within you. And one way that you can do that is by learning how to breathe consciously. Now, like I said, breath is spirit, right? When we breathe, this is actual life force entering and leaving our body. So whenever you are in environments or you're around people who drain your spirit and drain your energy, a way that you can regroup and replenish is through breath work. Now, one of the best breathwork techniques is to learn how to breathe through your diaphragm. Now, your diaphragm is where your gut is located, right? Your belly. A lot of people don't know that your gut is actually your first brain. A lot of people say it's your second brain, but it's really your first brain, because anything that you eat, it affects the way that you feel and the way that you think. And piggybacking off of emotions and the way that we feel and the way that we think, a big thing predicated towards that is how we're breathing. We don't ever pay attention to how we're breathing whenever we're mad, whenever we're upset, whenever we're sad, or even whenever we're happy. That's why anybody I talk to about breath work, the first tip I give them is focus on breath awareness. Don't focus on doing a bunch of practices, trying to be like yogis you see on social media and people who doing all type of different crazy breathing exercises. Focus on breath awareness. That is going to be a key to help you unlock your emotional storage, unlock the God within you. When it comes to our emotions is tied to our feelings. Our feelings are affected by the way that we think. And the way that we think is predicated towards the way that we feel, and the way that we feel, it affects the way that we breathe. So once again, breath awareness. If you are aware of how you're breathing, you can actually be aware of your emotional state. So the way that we breathe affects the way that we think. The way we think affects the way that we feel. So if our feelings is off, let's change our thinking. If the way that we're thinking is off, let's control the way that we feel, maybe with some affirmations. And if neither of those work, let's center ourselves and control the way that we're breathing. Let's bring our focus, right, which is our emotions and our feelings, and the way that we're thinking. Let's bring all of that present awareness to this, the breath. Because if you're not breathing, you're not living. So I don't understand why most people are not so fascinated by breath work as much as I am. This is why, me coming from my background, me coming from where I come from, I was nervous to share my passion and my love for breath work, because I was different than everybody else. I come from a black family, black home, a lot of trauma, right? A lot of mental illnesses, a lot of hustling, a lot of drug dealing, right? A lot of gang banging. And I moved to a suburban area when I was younger because my mom had housing vouchers. I had the privilege of duality. I got to see how it was living in the burbs, and then I got to see how it is living in the hood. And for me, I got to see, okay, there are obviously differences, but one thing that I notice about people who live in the suburbs is they spend more quality time on self-improvement, on quality. They spend more time on working on themselves. They don't mind investing in their health. They don't mind investing in their wealth and their mindset. So when I'm around people who are more from a suburban culture, it's a lot easier for me to talk about breath work because they already get it. They were exposed to this. But when I go talk to my people in the hood, they don't get it. They think it's taboo. They think I'm losing my mind, to be honest. And that's when God put it on my mind to be a spokesperson, to talk about breath work, to talk about its benefits, to talk about why and how it's beneficial to my culture and the world, but particularly my culture, because we deal with a lot of mental illness. We deal with a lot of addiction. We deal with a lot of abuse and trauma. And a lot of us, we really do want to get better. We really do want to change our lives. We want to stop doing the same cycle. We want to stop, beating our heads and being insane and doing the same things over and over again, but hoping, wishing, and praying for different results. Breathwork is one of those ways and those tools that you can break the cycle and break the habit with breathwork. Because with breathwork, it gives you a choice. It gives you a choice to either stay in this vibration and be a victim, or pause. Take a moment for myself. Focus on my breathing and reflect and get in the present moment and allow my conscious mind to take over so I can reach enlightenment. Now, enlightenment is when you consciously make the decision to do the right thing. That's when you're enlightened. Because a lot of us have knowledge, but we don't have enlightenment because we know what we should be doing, but why aren't we doing it? When you get to the point when you're doing what you should be doing, now you've become enlightened. And that's one thing that breathwork and mindfulness will help you do. It'll help you stop those bad habits, stop those bad traits, pause for a second and say, hey, I'm tired of making this same old decision, right? Making these same choices that's getting me nowhere. Let me pause for a second. Let me stop, analyze. Again, breath awareness, see how I'm breathing. If I'm erratic, if I have shallow breathing, if I'm breathing through my chest, if I have something called paradoxical breathing where I'm reverse breathing, all of those things are extremely important. So once you identify where you're at in that moment, you can then do a breathing remedy to help you. And when it comes to breathing remedies, I'm going to narrow this down for simplicity. 3 categories, family. You got your up regulation technique, your down regulation technique, and you have your conscious awareness techniques. Now, your up regulation techniques, that's when you're breathing fast, right? That's when you have fast, sharp, quick inhalations, right? That's when you're trying to bring energy to your body, right? You might be feeling tired. Okay, let's do an up regulation technique, right? Let's get the energy going, right? You might have schoolwork to do. You might have stuff that you need to get accomplished. And doing up regulation techniques is going to help you get that focus and clarity that you need to be energized and focused so you can actually, do what you got to do. Then you have your down regulation technique. Now, your down regulation technique is long exhales. Long exhales followed by breath holds. You're trying to calm down your nervous system. You're trying to be aware of how your heartbeat is beating. And if you notice when you're having anxiety attacks or you're going through something serious, your heart rate is beating. When you learn how to take slow exhales, that'll actually help you calm down. Once you're able to calm down, you're able to enter something called the rest and digest phase. And once you enter that rest and digest phase, that's the perfect time to get a nap in, perfect time to do some meditation, perfect time to just unwind. Now, the third one is conscious breath awareness. Now, this one is when you just literally focus on your breathing. We're not trying to control our breathing. We're just sitting still, kind of like a meditation, and we're just focused on how we're breathing. We're not really judging ourselves. We're not really trying to fix anything. We're just focused on how we're breathing. And this is a powerful tool because this allows you to see, okay, what's going on with me? Right? Am I sad? Am I running from the truth? Am I running from growth? Maybe this is a season of maturity and life is pulling me to grow as a man or as a woman, and I'm running from it. And I'm making up a bunch of excuses and blaming other people. But in reality, this could just be you growing up or you just having to face reality, right? Another example of just how breath awareness works. Because once you can see, okay, this is what's going on, now you can implement a strategy to get out of that vibration, to get out of that mental state. Feel me? Those are the 3 categories of breathing that I break down. I've been studying breath work for about 3 to 4 years now. I've been doing breathing exercises myself since I played football. Once I started to focus consciously on what I breathe, it changed my life tremendously. And when I say it changed my life, I'm not saying everything was perfect, everything got better. It changed my life because I stopped becoming a victim. I started to take more accountability of my actions. And once you take more accountability of your actions, right, you start to, quote unquote, love yourself more. And when you love yourself more, there's certain things that you just don't want to do. There's certain people that you don't want to be around. There's certain hobbies that you just don't want to do anymore. Because certain hobbies are attached to a weakness that is no longer serving you, a weakness that is no longer helping you. Once I discovered breath awareness, things changed. I grew up, I got more mature. The things that I'm into is things that are beneficial for my mind, for my body, and my spirit. I no longer have the urge to go out to the club or party. And trust me, on 4th of July weekend, I went out to a little bar and I literally had to force myself to try to fit in because I didn't want to be there. I did not want to be there. That's going to piggyback to this next point. If you someone who's still in the life of going out, right, who's still of the world, and you might be addicted to things that bring you harm, but it feels pleasurable, I want you to understand that you're not alone. And there are breathing practices for you as well. When you are going down a battle, right, of self, and you're making bad decisions, right, or you struggling with addiction, that's a perfect time to learn how to do breath work and breath awareness. Because after you do something that you're not supposed to be doing, that's a perfect time to breathe, reflect, focus on that conscious awareness breath to see, okay, I just gave in to this addiction or this habit that I wasn't supposed to be doing. Let me see how I'm feeling. Without judging, let me just be aware of my breathing. And usually you're going to notice your breathing is sporadic. You're not breathing properly. You're not even going to like the way that you're feeling. And boom, once you identify that, once you see, like, hey, I'm not judging myself or beating myself up because I'm struggling with something. I'm allowing myself to go through it, and I'm being aware of how I feel. And once you see how you feel, you're going to see, I really don't like this. This really doesn't bring me pleasure. And that's another key tip for why breath awareness is so powerful. Because once you see that this no longer brings you awareness or pleasure, right, you can now implement strategies, right, and create better habits to help you overcome that addiction. Because at the end of the day, we're human beings, right, but we have an animalistic nature. And as human beings, we are creatures of habit. So sometimes we want to do better, but our body is in this cycle, it's in this habit. And it's not going to be easy to just break the habit just because we want to. But when you learn how to go in there and feel it, you can reprogram your mind to understand, like, hey, I don't even like this habit. Start to feed to your mind that this is no longer beneficial to me no more, right? This doesn't make me feel good. Once your body starts to receive that information of, hey, this no longer brings me pleasure, you're going to be able to substitute that with habits that do bring you pleasure and that are beneficial for you. So one key tool for that, for anybody dealing with addiction, substitute that with mindfulness, breathwork practices. Now, that's it for today, family. I wanted to get on here just to knock off some rust. I'm going to have more videos about breathwork, about mind, body, spirit, and fitness. I got my podcast coming soon. Also, I'm going to have workouts for fitness that integrate fitness and breathwork and a bunch of stuff more. Please, if you like this video, hit the subscribe button. I'm on my journey. Grow with me. I have my own community called the Chosen One Community and my own fitness app and programs for those who want to take their physical health to another level and their mental health to another level. So if you want to do that, please hit the description, DM me, or download my app and fill out the questionnaire, and I will get you set up. Thank you guys for watching, and remember, don't forget to breathe.